Okay, so we really need to get to grips with understanding the difference between the dependent variable and the independent variable. Okay, so whenever you're investigating anything at all, whatever experiment you're doing in science, you're always going to be investigating how does one thing affect another. Okay, you're investigating a cause and an effect. So in this experiment I've just done here, we're investigating how the height of the ball how the height of the ball is dropped from, how does it affect the size of the crater? So the cause is the height the ball is dropped from, the effect is the size of the crater, which means the independent variable is how high the ball is dropped from. The dependent variable is the size of the crater, okay? Or we can say the thing that we're going to measure, or sorry, the thing that we're going to change, is the height of the ball. The thing we're going to measure is the size of the crater. So we would have a results table that would look like this. And on the left would be the independent variable. So what was I, in this results table, for this experiment, what would I write on the left? What would I write up here? So the independent variable is how high the ball is dropped from. Maybe I should, I could have made that yellow, but then you won't be able to see it, I guess. So, but it's because I've used yellow for the independent variable here, right? Maybe I'll make it orange. Maybe we should be able to see orange. That's kind of yellowish. So now let's pick pink again. Okay. So what are we going to measure then in our results table? We're going to change the height. So we're going to start, let's say, with we're going to measure it, let's say, in meters, or maybe measure it in centimeters would make more sense. So centimeters, we're going to start off with 1 centimeter, 2 centimeters, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm going to change that. I'm going to change the height that I dropped the ball from. What am I going to measure each time? Yes, excellent. So I'm going to measure the size of the crater. Now, okay, good. We're finally getting the hang of this. We definitely need practice because we did understand it before, but then we forgot it again. Now, here we have a little bit of a problem because when I said the words like size are a bit vague, a bit unclear. So we now need to think about, when you actually come to writing the results down, you realize, oh, hang on, what exactly am I measuring? That tells you that we've not been clear enough in the first place. So when I measure the crater size, how do you measure the crater size? What am I actually measuring? So this is my crater. What am I going to measure the size? If I told you to measure that crater, what are you actually going to do? Measure the size of the crater. What are you actually going to do? Again. So basically you have a number of options here. If I want to measure the size of the crater, I could measure the width. Okay, so I could measure from here all the way to here. That's one thing I could do. Or I could measure the depth. In other words, how deep the crater is. So I can measure from the bottom of the crater to where the sand is from here. Yeah. Or maybe I could, if I want to be really clever, I could take the ball out of the crater and I could see how much volume the crater takes up. But I think that would be really difficult to do. So I think the simplest I would suggest is to measure the width of the crater. So I would suggest that. So the width. So how would I draw that on my diagram? I would draw it like this. I would say from here to here, and I'd measure that, and that is. And let's make that a different color actually, because it looks like it's part of the diagram. We'll color that in black, and yeah. So I'm going to say that is the width. And now when I said size, I'm going to change that to say width. So we're going to measure the width of the crater, okay? Yeah? Now, so we've just looked at what the independent variable is, what the dependent variable is, and then we've looked at how to more precisely measure the width of the measure things like size, right? Now, and we've also talked about that we put the independent variable on the left. The thing, what do we do with the independent variable? Do we measure it or do we change it? Which one do we change again? Remind me. Very good. Which one is the cause? Okay, good. Which one is the one that which one is the effect? Yeah, in our investigation. Okay, good. In this particular investigation, which one is the thing that we are changing? This, yeah. When I say this particular investigation, I mean I don't want you to say independent variable. I want you to tell me something specifically about. So yeah, exactly the height the ball has dropped from. So we're going to measure the width of the crater. Now, the other thing you might want to do in your investigations, you might want to think about a prediction. So we now know what we're going to measure. We know how we're going to carry out the experiment, and we might want to think about what do we expect is going to happen. So what do you think will happen if I change the height of the ball?